Life is a battlefield. Not always the kind with swords and shields, but one with doubts, disappointments, fears. Maybe you've been there, in that quiet place where the weight of the world sits heavy on your chest, wondering how you'll make it through the next day, the next hour, even the next breath. Where the silence is so loud, it echoes through your soul. We all face battles in life, some loud, some silent, but all deeply personal. Sometimes they hit without warning. A phone call in the middle of the night, a conversation that changes everything, a moment that divides life into before and after. Maybe it was the heartbreak that came out of nowhere. A marriage you thought would last forever suddenly ended. A friend you trusted deeply betrayed you, or the parent who was supposed to protect you but didn't. Perhaps it was the opportunity you worked so hard for, the job you prayed over, interviewed for, dreamed about, only to receive a cold, automated rejection email. Or maybe it's the relationship that left scars, a breakup that shattered your confidence, a toxic partnership that drained your joy, or a silence from someone you love that speaks louder than words ever could. But not all enemies shout, some whisper, and the quietest, yet often the most dangerous, is fear. Fear of failing again, so you stop trying. Fear of being rejected, so you stop opening up. Fear that maybe, just maybe, you're not smart enough, good enough, strong enough, worthy enough. Fear doesn't barge in, it seeps through the cracks. A small thought here, a doubt there. It disguises itself as caution. It sounds logical, sensible, even protective. But its aim is paralysis. It starts as a whisper. What if you mess this up? What if they don't choose you? What if you're not meant for more? And before you know it, fear is no longer whispering. It's shouting. Shouting louder than your faith, louder than your hope, louder than your dreams. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to win. The ultimate truth is this. Faith does not mean you won't feel afraid. It means that even when you are afraid, you move forward anyway, trusting that God is already ahead of you. Let me take you back to a dusty street in ancient Philippi. Paul and Silas, two men on a mission from God, weren't criminals. They weren't rebels. They were messengers of hope, healing, and truth. But one day, after setting a captive soul free from demonic bondage, they were seized by an angry crowd, falsely accused, stripped, beaten with rods, not once, not twice, but savagely, without mercy. No trial, no defense, just pain, humiliation, injustice. And if that wasn't enough, they were thrown into the deepest, darkest part of the prison. Not a modern cell with lights and blankets. No. We're talking about a cold, damp dungeon where rats ran freely and the stench of death clung to the air. Their feet were locked in stocks, twisted and bound in the most painful position possible. You would think that's the end of the story. You'd expect them to break down, to question God, to curse the day they obeyed His call. But hear me, faith isn't proven in comfort, it's revealed in crisis. At midnight, the darkest hour, the loneliest time, Paul and Silas did the unthinkable. They didn't moan, they didn't panic, they prayed, they praised. From the pit of despair, they lifted their voices in song, hymns echoing through stone walls, melodies rising through pain. Their worship became warfare. And then, suddenly, a moment only God could orchestrate, the earth began to shake. Not just a tremor, a violent, divine earthquake. Prison doors flung open. Chains broke loose. Every captive was freed. Listen to me. That's what happens when you stand up to fear. That's what happens when you refuse to let your situation dictate your spirit. That's what happens when, instead of collapsing, you lift your hands. When instead of fearing the night, You worship the one who holds the dawn. Think of David, just a shepherd boy. No sword, no armor, no military training, no crowd backing him up. Just a slingshot and faith. Everyone else saw a giant who could not be beaten. David saw a victory waiting to happen. He didn't deny the threat. He just trusted the source. He said, "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the bear will rescue me from this Philistine." He didn't rely on his strength. He relied on God's faithfulness. Then there's Esther, a young woman, orphaned, outnumbered, and in over her head, living in a palace, but carrying the weight of her people on her shoulders. She risked everything by approaching the king without being summoned. A decision that could have ended her life in an instant. But her words still echo through time. "If I perish, I perish." That's faith. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to rise above it. To stand tall when everything in you wants to run. To believe that your purpose is bigger than your fear. Then there's Moses, standing between an ocean and an angry army, trapped. No plan, no escape route. People panicking, doubting. But Moses stood still. He said, "Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord." And when God said, "Move," Moses lifted his staff and the sea split. Faith made a way where there was no way. And let's not forget Peter. In the middle of a storm, when the wind was howling and the waves were high, Jesus called him out of the boat. And Peter, though afraid, stepped onto the water. And for a moment, the impossible became possible. He walked on what should have drowned him. Yes, he sank when fear returned. But don't miss the miracle. He had the faith to step out in the first place, and Jesus was right there to lift him up again. You may never face a giant in battle. You may never part a sea or walk on water. But you will face moments where fear presses in, where the odds look impossible, where your heart races, where everything in you wants to quit. In those moments, remember this: faith is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. When fear knocks, answer it with Scripture. When doubt speaks, remind it of God's promises. Speak truth aloud. "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. You are not fighting alone. God walks with you. He fights for you. He strengthens you when you have no strength left. So take heart. You may be in a battle, but you are not alone. The same God who gave David courage, who gave Esther boldness, who gave Moses authority, and who gave Peter a second chance, is with you today, tomorrow, and always.
If this encouraged you, share it with someone who needs a reminder of what faith can do. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because together, we're building a community of faith over fear. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.